Today, I wanted to talk about 3-pack blisters and investing in them for the Pokemon trading card game. Normally, all the hubbub is around booster boxes and elite trainer boxes, but I wanted to kind of talk about a potential dark horse, a silent investment that I don't think a lot of people are talking about, but there is a reason why it's somewhat neglected, and that's the 3-pack blister. So, when you buy a booster box or an ETB, you usually get a lot of packs that come in it, but the issue is that it's a lot of capital to front at first, and then also it doesn't really help that it's probably pretty crazy on shipping costs, right? In terms of selling it afterwards. Now, with the 3-pack blisters, these are very effective on space. They're very effective when it comes to shipping, very effective, very efficient, but most importantly, they are a lower capital to start with, right? They don't require as much money to put into if you're just going to buy a few to hold on to, right? Now, ultimately, however much you want to put in is up to you, and as we could see from most of the data, booster boxes and I guess holiday ETBs genuinely or generally have a better chance at receiving more of a return faster. It doesn't take as long for them to hit new heights, whereas with the lesser products, we'll call them, the products with less packs, they tend to take longer to actually see some returns. But in front of me, I have every single, I think minus Crown Zenith, every single 3-pack blister featured from the Sword and Shield era, and I wanted to take a quick look at the data because I think it's pretty telling on what would be best to invest in when it comes to 3-pack blisters. So, getting the obvious out of the way, we have the Evolving Skies 3-pack blister. This one is the Umbreon promo card here. Probably one of the more, I guess, expensive promo cards that you could have gotten from the, I guess, Sword and Shield era. But yeah, I mean, coming out of a 3-pack blister, that is to say. But if you look, September 19th, $72.37. This is just in 3 months, and look how much it's went up by. It's at $94.69. And if you were to take a look at the year, a year ago it was at $43. So it nearly doubled, more than doubled actually, its return in pretty much a year, which is pretty crazy. That is pretty insane, actually, for a 3-pack blister. And then you have the Ice Cube. Again, kind of insane, a $20 difference between the promos, but I guarantee you that Umbreon card, I haven't actually looked. It's probably not a $20 card, but it is pretty cool how just based off of the promo that comes with it is kind of determined of its full value, right? If we look at this Ice Cube, we have $59.90. And then 3 months later, $73.36. 1 year ago, $38.89, and then all of a sudden $74.16. So pretty crazy there. But now let's go ahead and take a look at some less obvious cases. So we have the Sword and Shield 3-pack blister. This is the Galarian Ponyta. I guess, yeah, 3-pack blister. You just have your Sword and Shield base packs, your coin, and then your promo card. Now, this one has significantly less sales to really look at the data for, so it's very tricky to kind of get an appropriate gauge, an accurate gauge on how well this item has done. I mean, I can tell you this, it wasn't probably originally listed for $33.47, right, at stores, card shops, big chain stores, right? But it did somehow rise up to there among the time, but $33.47 did drop down to $26.93 in March, so there is definitely a little bit of risk when handling certain products, right? But its current value is $37.22. The only issue is that there's not a lot of sales for this one, so again, it's just kind of tricky to gauge how accurate it was. But in terms of 3-pack blisters, not including Crown Zenith, this one is definitely up there for potential for having some value to it. Then, of course, next we have the Rebel Clash 3-pack blister. This is the Rayquaza promo card. Rebel Clash is a famously underprinted set. So I've heard, and I guess experienced, but I can only imagine the 3-pack blister, which, by the way, the color scheme is fantastic. Just want to point that out. But I can only imagine the 3-pack blister is probably a little bit tricky to find. But looking at the yearly data, this one actually has seen some losses. I mean, September 19th, $32.96, and then all the way to December 10th. $31.28. So, I mean, it's nothing crazy, right? But again, if you look at the quantity here, I mean, the most we've seen is a couple items sold throughout the year, right? you know, not much. It's just really tricky with some of these more obscure items, right? Then you have the Morpeko Sword and Shield. We're not going to focus on this one too much because up next are some that have certainly made the rounds a little bit more. There's a little more data involved over here. So if we take a look at the yearly graph for Fusion Strike, which is one of the top sets from the Sword and Shield era, this is the 3-pack blister with Espeon, we see that there has been growth. So last year, $17.28. This year, $26.58. It hasn't been without its, I guess, crazy jumps and flat kind of areas, but $26.58, certainly not a bad price point to go up to. And then going on to the next one, we have Darkness Ablaze, the 3-pack blister. Now, Darkness Ablaze is interesting because it's not really a popular set. A lot of people aren't really interested in it, but I think because it has Eevee as a promo card here, this is why this specific one has seen some value gains. But we have $18.36, drops to $17.50, about around there. And then from the rest of the year, it goes up to $25. But again, kind of only a handful of packs of this product has been sold here and there. Perhaps a more accurate one would be the Chilling Rain 3-pack blister. This one features Eevee. I know I saw this one on the card shelves a lot as time has gone on, but it's kind of rare at this point. Yeah, I mean, if you look, $17.35. It doesn't go up by an extreme amount. Its current value is $23.52. And again, there are ebbs and flows, but yeah, as we could see, there has been a little bit of increase. So we're going to look at more data in just a bit. I'm going to, I guess, select different sets here from now on, but I just wanted to show and stop here and show that some of them have seen some really impressive movement, but a lot of them have not. And it's gotten to the point where a bunch of these sets are 4, 3, 2 years old, 2, 3, 4 years old, right? And, you know, by now the booster boxes have seen pretty crazy movement, but that's kind of it. The ETBs, the 3-pack blisters, the build and battles, the booster bundles, whatever have you, they haven't seen that crazy markups yet, that much appreciation. And there is a pretty good reason for it. Again, just the sole value placed in a singular sealed product that I guess contains a large quantity of untampered, secure packs. There is a lot of, I guess, value in that in general, right? So that is something to keep an eye out on, right? The odds of wanting to pull a specific card, I suppose, and then buying a box, and then that card has a significantly higher chance of being in that product than, say, a 3-pack blister, right? You want your Gengar from a 3-pack blister, or do you want it from a booster box? Which is sort of separate to the idea that, you know, you can, or that the products themselves have a value set aside for them, which is completely different to the singles on the inside. But let's continue onwards. Let's look at a few more examples here because the list is getting shorter, and from this point onwards, it does appear as though not many of the rest of these have seen that significant increases. So we have a Vivid Voltage 3-pack blister. This is the Vaporeon blister. If we look at the year, it has December 19th, $20.13. It goes down to $18 in around March, goes up to a high of pretty much $21, and then it does drop to $19.69. And I mean, that's not bad, but assuming this was around, I don't know, probably $12 to $14 when it first came out all those years ago, what would that have been? 2020. And now it's, you know, going to be 2025 soon. It's only $19.69. So it's definitely nothing super impressive there. Unfortunately for the 3-pack blister, you have Sobble, and you have, I guess, Brilliant Stars over here with the Glaceon promo card. And again, same thing. It does ultimately go up, but not by much, $17.73. And then, like I said before, we have the rest of the products over here, which don't appear to really be in a super expensive state. I mean, you have Silver Tempest over here, Astral Radiance, and a lot of these are probably still available in the Pokemon Center, which could definitely be a, you know, key factor as to why they're still cheap, because they're so readily available, right? But taking a look at the top couple of, I guess, sets here, What are the common factors? What should we be looking out for if you were to invest in 3-pack blisters? Well, number one is the set. So we have Evolving Skies over here, the arguably the best set for, the Sword and Shield era. So what could that mean? That could mean if you were to translate this to the Scarlet and Violet era, you might want, say, a Twilight Masquerade. I'm not saying that is the best set, but it's one of the best sets. You might want, say, Twilight Masquerade 3-pack blister, or you might want a Surging Sparks 3-pack blister. That one I'm pretty certain is going to have a successful future. I'll put it like that. There's tons of other fun sets coming out, right? But I think it's important to look at the popularity of each set as it comes out, how well it's received, and then from there to kind of gauge it, right? Evolving Skies was pretty popular as it first came out, but yeah, and that shows with the data. Then number two, if we look, we have Sword and Shield base, and then we have Rebel Clash, which are definitely sets that were a little trickier to find, I think, if I, could put my opinion out there. Definitely Rebel Clash. I'm not sure if Sword and Shield base was that tricky to find, but Rebel Clash, underprinted, probably not the same thing for Sword and Shield base, but regardless, these are older sets and slightly trickier to actually, locate or have found, and that could be a big one too. So when we think in terms of Scarlet and Violet, we think of maybe Paldea Evolved. It's a pretty good one. Apparently that one is underprinted, and as we can already see, there's some movement with its values, with all of the sealed values for Paldea Evolved. I know my local card store is selling a booster box for I think around $200 Canadian. So and that's pretty crazy. I mean, there's nothing of value for $200. I mean, that Magikarp is going up. It's probably at around $200 right now, but still, it's, that's a big chunk of change for a box that kind of has one really good pull attached to it, right? So that's something to think about. I don't know if Scarlet and Violet base will fall under that. I mean, if you were to just maybe buy a couple of the, 3-pack blisters, not really much of a risk, right? And that's something else I didn't really touch on. 3-pack blisters, I think, are low risk, low reward likely. Because I mean, with this one, I'd probably consider it a high reward, right? Evolving Skies. But yeah, I mean, with, say, Brilliant Stars or Vivid Voltage, Fusion Strike, probably low risk, low reward. And then lastly, the last kind of point for 3-pack blisters is the promo card that comes with it, right? I mean, we see here, look at the price discrepancy between an Umbreon and an Ice Cube promo card for Evolving Skies. It's over $23 of a difference just based off of a promo card, right? So for example, I'm trying to remember, I think it's Twilight Masquerade, I think there's a Snorlax promo card, and then there's another promo card of some gen 8 or 9, I forget what generation we're on, Pokemon, right? I'm pretty sure in the long run that Snorlax is going to be more valuable than the than the other Pokemon, right? I mean, look at it like this too. I mean, you have this Eevee. I mean, it's only a couple dollars, but Eevee is more popular than Snorlax here. Vaporeon is more popular than Sobble. Glaceon is more popular than Leafeon, etc., right? There's always going to be that one product that is slightly more expensive than its counterpart, just solely based off of the promo card, right? So in short, if you are looking to feasibly, I guess, invest in some Pokemon cards, right? Or you want to just have some sort of sealed product hanging around. I mean, I have plenty of 3-pack blisters to my shelf over here. Just, if you think you want to kind of invest some capital or just have some sealed product for your collection, 3-pack blisters are a very good way to go, because in the future, depending on the set that you buy it from, depending on the promo card, depending on if you've been kind of tracking the market's movements, could be a very easy thing to sell. Because people, if say they want to open up a product, right? If I wanted to open up Evolving Skies, I guess I'm going to buy a 3-pack blister, if that's what's available, before I buy a booster box, right? So you definitely have a market going for you there if that's the product you choose to invest in. So yeah, basically look for sets, look for promo cards, look for kind of age of sets, how much was printed, what's popular, then, you know, it should be easy to find a buyer, shipping will be easy, and then storage will be easy. So that's just a dark horse that is kind of running up in the race for these, I guess, investing in Pokemon cards. Something else worth mentioning that I'll do a video on eventually too is the rise of booster bundles. I think those could very well be the future of Pokemon investing. I know that's a big word. Obviously, booster boxes are going to be crazy too, but a lot of people are focusing their efforts on booster boxes, and not a lot of people are putting it into booster bundles, which are, I guess, a really good way for people to either just have small displayed sealed product or to have packs, secured packs to rip. But that's a conversation for a later date. For now, that is 3-pack blisters. I'd love to know your opinion on them, and until next time, I'll catch you in the next one.